is product management going away? So
I'm still not sure if one way is right or one way is wrong.
First reaction to it is it helped people actually understand the prominence of a product manager. The tweet just confused people and made them think that either people are converging these roles or they're eliminating some of the roles.
hello everybody, welcome to our podcast Everything Product. So we are not doing any intros today. Let's quickly jump into our topic. So is product management going away? So we are going to answer this question at the end of this podcast, but before jumping in, right, let's talk about the backstory of like why this discussion even came in. So there was this conference which happened 2 weeks back, which was called Figure, where a CEO of Figma and CEO of Airbnb were having a discussion on design-led growth and building products. And CEO of Airbnb brand kind of passed a statement saying we only have product marketeers at Airbnb. We have actually merged product management into product marketing. This message was repackaged into a lot of controversial statements saying Airbnb is getting rid of product management, and there's like a lot of people jumped on the thread and people were taking different sides, arguing and all of that stuff. So now let's demystify this and see what a product manager does and what a product marketing manager does, and how these roles take a product to success, and what are the gray areas in these roles, and also is it good to merge these roles together. So I'll get your first reactions, Phani and Srinath. So Phani, like what were your first thoughts as you saw this tweet which went viral?
Yeah, definitely, Sidhu. So by the time I saw the tweet, right, Brian already responded to the tweet and he told that, hey, let me clarify, or maybe I should have added more light to it. He was like, we are not removing the product management profession. We are just adjusting our product management profession to be more towards marketing so that a product manager specifically focuses on the go to market strategy, positioning, etc., rather than completely eliminating the product management role. It is a good thing, actually. My first reaction to it is it helped people actually understand the prominence of a product management role, and it actually raised a lot of questions on where a product manager actually adds value. I'm going to go into details as we continue the discussion here, but a big takeaway for me is product management as a profession, as we talked about in like several other videos, varies a lot by the company. And depending on what the company is doing, a product management role could be varying. Like, let's say we were talking about product operations manager, product marketing manager, etc. Depending on the need, the role varies or role gets modified.
Absolutely. I think we have touched upon this a lot of times in our previous videos where we were talking about like how there is like the role changes based on the size of the company and the size, the stage of the product, and also at what point, in the life cycle you are. So yeah, there's a lot of gray area also. So Srinath, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, it was a very interesting discussion. I think to some extent, Funny covered. It varies organization by organization. In the organizations I worked, PMM was a separate function versus a PM. And because of different, I think, valid reasons, at this point, I'm still not sure if one way is right or one way is wrong. So I'm still kind of on the wall. Maybe it all depends on the type of organization primarily. I mean, for instance, in some of the companies that I worked in before, we were PMMs were supposed to figure out mode of communications and developing various banners within the website, which also needs a lot of that marketing skills, which is probably not a product management skill. But at the same time, there's some overlap between both. For instance, I think you talked about customer segmentation, doing the market analysis, the landscape, that kind of stuff. Probably product manager can do, but some of the things which I spoke about, like banner creation, the notification stuff, and all that stuff within an app or a website, probably I'm not sure if that belongs to product management, but yeah, that's my take. But overall,
Yeah.
very interesting. I know Apple has been doing this successfully, so I'm sure there are a lot of advantages of doing this.
Yeah. So at the point when I looked at this, right, first like was like wondering what is this and all of that stuff. Then I tried to basically uh, frame my mind to see like why does it even matter whether we combine these roles or have separate roles, and what are the specific skill sets each of these roles bring into the table, right? So that's where I was trying to put together like what are all the skills a product manager has, and how does he contribute to the development life cycle, and what a marketing manager has, and what is the overlap where both of these people work together with. Yeah, I think that clarified some things to me, but yeah, as you guys said, right, there's still a lot of gray area, but it depends on like the type of product and also the size of the company which you're working for.
There's also another tweet that Brian posted very recently, Sidhu. Not Brian, I think it was Scott Belsky who posted it. He was like, let me read it out. On the topic of PMs, PGMs, CPOs, etc., those within it know that the titles rarely reflect the actual role. Cultures differ. The best work happens when the stack is collapsed, and the top talent has always influenced without authority and done work outside of their job anyways. It was amazing, right? So that is actually true. When I think about my product management role in the past few companies, it varied a lot, and depending on the need that an organization or the team has, you always jump into things to make it happen. So going back to where Airbnb is right now, or going back to, let's say, where TikTok is right now, that role would have dramatically changed by the time when the company was started versus now, and the stage of the company basically. So the current need of Airbnb is at a state where they need to market more, they need to make sure more customers are coming into picture. Same thing with Figma is at a place where they need to have like multiple B2B deals need to happen and multiple B2B discussions need to happen, which basically means they need the product managers who can do a right fit of their product, who can do the right positioning and then market their products. Yeah.
And there's also an interesting piece here, right? Like Figma basically caters to designers, right? Their persona or the target customer is a designer, but Figma is more of a design product-led company, right? They don't advertise their products. It's more, yeah, they give free tier and where people can try out different things, and once they like it, they upgrade to the paid version. So it's more uh, in the philosophy of you providing enough value so that the customer pays to the features which Figma offers. Kind of a contrast from what a marketing function exists for, right? Marketing is more focused on bringing the word out, communicating the message of what the product value is to different channels and different customers, and also defining what the position of that specific product is and all of that. Let's maybe, right, like I think it's very broad topic, right? Let's maybe take one use case from our previous experience and talk through how a product manager was involved in the process, and how a product marketing manager was involved, and how did the whole experience look like. Who wants to start?
I can give you an example. So let me take into it again. I'm gonna not tell all the exact details, but I never had a product marketing manager role in all of the companies that I worked with, and I've worked with proper tech companies which are focusing on like B2C. Primarily, we had B2B products as well, but primarily B2C. So product managers have dealt with everything in this scenario where they are creating the products with the engineers, they are working with the marketing teams to define how the marketing for this product needs to happen, what kinds of articles needs to be published, what kinds of messaging needs to go to the customer, etc., and finally launching the product, rolling out, testing out, etc. One quick thing that I want to call out here, even though a product manager is driving the marketing here in terms of articles, messaging, and stuff, the big difference is the actual marketing team is the one who's driving the conversations on what needs to happen, how it's need to be built. At this stage of the product development process, he was honestly playing the role of a project manager where he's coordinating with the marketing teams to define that strategy. But if I take a broader lens of where a product marketing manager would come into picture here, let's take the entire same product development process. A product is being developed with the designers and engineers. Once the product is done, then you're thinking about the marketing for it and then finally launching it. So, in this three-stage process, a product marketing manager focuses on the second and third parts, where he is the one who defines what exactly needs to be built in terms of marketing. He is the one who exactly tells what are the different marketing channels we'll use, where do we spend more money, and then finally utilize that to roll out the product. So, in these three steps, his role in the first part is less, but the second and third parts, he'll have a bigger role.
Well, I think that people who are in the platform organization kind of could relate to whatever you're talking about, right? The whole no, process and all. And I'm assuming Srinath might have dealt with a completely different set of customers, right? Because he used to work in a more B2B space, right? So, what is your experience, Srinath, there?
Yeah, in B2B space, we had a separate product marketing team who were our close partners when we were driving product features. From product management side, we used to own kind of the customer interviews, the requirements, all the entire development process. Sorry, the development of that product, working closely with engineering teams, and we owned the engagement with the marketing team, providing the necessary requirements for them. For instance, what we are looking to achieve, but marketing team was coming up with their go to market strategy on the type of channels that we need to communicate through. Maybe this needs a landing page or not. Maybe we need to show banners across different places in the app or a website, such as those. So they were owning that complete piece, and also they owned the metrics such as the click through rates and all that stuff, to make sure people are clicking the right stuff and we are getting that adoption. So, from my experience, that's how I've seen in all the organizations that I've worked. If
Mhm.
which may be slightly different that Funny might have seen.
Yeah.
So that's my experience.
Yeah. Also, sometimes when the product is bigger enough and it's a SaaS product, there is also a growth product manager who looks into some of the funnel, the conversions, and all. But in this case, it was more like a product marketing manager.
Just to clarify one thing here, what we were looking at was more around adoption, conversion, but marketing was more focused on the open email rates, the click through rates, that kind of stuff, more on the marketing side.
More on the leads. How many leads are you getting, right?
Exactly.
The one thing that I want to stress on here, right, is the go to market strategy. So, whenever a product is driven from a marketing standpoint, a big focus would go into a go to market strategy where they clearly define the positioning for the market, the exact customer who would be utilizing this product, and then also focus on the exact marketing channels, and then define how much spend you want to do in each of the marketing channels, and then finally launch the product. But on the other hand, whenever there is a product manager sitting in place, he does similar things. Obviously, he does the industry research, he does the competitor research to figure out exactly what he wants to build the product, but he might not be like super focused on exactly defining what is the market positioning, exactly defining the market fit for the product, and then defining the marketing channels and stuff where they want to promote. Rather, it would just be a product feature that is being launched on your product to certain customers.
I want to get both of your thoughts. So, do you guys think merging these two, once an organization becomes a matured organization, makes more sense? Or do you think, you guys think like a startup like environments probably need both of these functions, because they're still trying to figure out how to get customers, right? But for example, maybe mature organizations already have a good place to start. I mean, probably they just need to scale.
Let me start with my experience, like where I worked, right? So when I was working for this startup, they had SaaS products and they also had hardware products. And sometimes, right, like the development life cycle is completely different, and the way you launch a product is different if it's a software product versus it's a hardware product, right? So imagine, right, like as a product manager, I was tasked to build a new vertical, new product, right, from idea to launch. So what would I do, right? The first point which I would do is basically go and do some market research. But sometimes the market research is so intensive that you have to basically lend it out to a research firm or a marketing agency who goes out and basically talks to multiple people, customer interviews them, trying to understand how the industry is evolving, what are the different verticals that exist in the industry, who are the competitors, what is the spending capacity of each of these customers, and all of that, right? So a marketing manager basically leads all of this effort, reaching out to different firms to do the market research, trying to figure out like what is the best information we can get so that we can try to understand that problem space and then get into that solutioning space. So once we work on the with the product marketing manager on this, right, then we'll basically get that market research and information about what the vertical is and all of that. That's when a product manager, I as a product manager get into and try to understand, right, what the persona is, and also what the problem space I want to be in at, right? And this also could be done in collaboration with the marketing manager, figuring out like what the TAM for this market is, right? And how much of the revenue can we generate and all of that. So once we understand this and say that okay, this is what we want to shoot for, that's when the product manager takes the problem statement and then gets into the engineering team to trying to figure out what solution we want to build for it. Multiple discussions with the engineering team trying to figure out like what could be the first MVP we want to launch, right? In the whole process there is also this continuous discovery process where you go back to the customers again and validating your hypothesis of is this feature useful, not useful, is this prototype good to navigate, not good to navigate, user experience, and all of that stuff, right? Once you are in the midst of managing all of this and you know that you have a set date where you want to launch this product, I think that's when the collaboration with product marketing manager becomes even closer, where you go in and actually define like what marketing channels are you basically broadcasting this to, right? So you could work with a product marketing manager to run a campaign, right? All your social media channels like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever it is, where you're teasing the product with all the marketing collateral and material, where you maybe work with the product marketing manager trying to figure out what the exact messaging is for that product and maybe create a video for that. And also sometimes, right, you kind of figure out what pieces of the landing page you actually have that product displayed, right? Tease the customer, or maybe generate an interest list where people can sign up to that, right? All of these things are basically managed by the marketing manager. So it's more campaigning, messaging, advocating, sales enablement, right? So marketing manager also talks to sales teams to figure out like what is the right messaging he has to give while he's reaching out to the customers. I think this is also a practice which we used to do, where salespeople used to have battle cards with different messages when they go to different set of customers. When they're talking to a customer who's a very nuanced customer, they have a different set of dialogue. But when they go to a customer who is kind of familiar with the product, they have a different dialogue. So I think that's how the whole process works, where initially the marketing manager is involved in some of that, and then the product manager takes over, and after that it's more like a collaboration at the launch, where marketing manager helps with the go to market strategy, messaging, channels, how to broadcast the message, and all of that stuff. So again,
Yep.
I just like was covering my experience but didn't answer your question, Srinath. So to your question, right, what I meant to say is sometimes you are actually doing all of these functions together, right? And it is the way it is, right? So it's not just defined as a combined role, but you're doing all of these skills. So I'd say in the industry there are a lot of companies who are already doing it. It's not something new.
Yeah. I'll also add one more thing to it, right? So, going back to your question, Srinath, small companies versus big companies, where would the role play a major role? I think in small companies, you don't need both. I think one role should be enough because a product manager as a person can expand to the skills. Like, if you need more marketing, go back, learn the certain skills that is needed because you're a startup, you can expand to like different things that you can do. But as the company grows, I think that is when you need a specific focus so that you can build the product in a better way and market the product in a better way. So as you guys are talking, right, I was just googling to see like what are the typical roles. Like let's say Google has posted for product marketing manager versus product manager. So when I look at here, so the first role that popped up in San Francisco is product marketing manager for program growth for Grow with Google. Another one that I found out is growth marketing manager for search. But I don't see a product marketing manager exactly for like um, typical Google products like phones or anything like that. I'm seeing for search, I'm seeing for Chrome, etc. So at least what I'm understanding from this is anything that's like well grown or well established products might possibly need like a marketing manager where they have to solely focus on like marketing, growing the product. um, but whenever it's a fairly newer product which is just establishing or just coming into the market, you might not need a crazy product marketing manager who can define that entire thing while you're bringing the product into the market.
So let's maybe take one example, right? Like take a SaaS product which has 100 customers. A product marketing manager can essentially do every piece of it, right? Defining the customer messaging, what are the channels where all of this messaging exists. But imagine the same for Apple Watch. There's a product manager or a team of product managers working on Apple Watch, right? I'm assuming there is a very big team, marketing team behind that, where each marketing manager is responsible for one region, and each region might have multiple different verticals which are working on different messaging channels. So the scope gets very, very large, right? So that's where I think there is more specific roles which just take care of one piece of it rather than the complete suite of skills.
So I want to add on to that Apple Watch thing, right? So if I think about Apple Watch, right, I just went to the Apple website. So there is Apple Watch Ultra, Series 8, Apple Watch SE, and there is a partnership, I believe, with like let's say Nike, Hermes, etc. So they have each of these completely defined, and I'm sure they'll have individual marketing managers who's focusing on the specific types of customers who would be interested in that. So, for example, let's take Nike or Hermes, right? It's the exact same watch. What they're primarily changing is the types of straps that are being attached to it. So the audience is completely different. One customer is someone who's specifically focused on fitness. Another customer is probably looking for something exclusive, something premium. And let's take the other one also, right? Ultra, extremely expensive product, but the focused customer is very different. I'm sure they would have defined a clear marketing strategy to say, hey, whenever I'm marketing to this customer persona, I'm not showing Nike, I'm showing the Hermes. Whenever I'm finding a person who is focused on fitness, maybe I'm going to promote this. Or maybe they're also going way beyond to see like what kinds of products the other customers bought. If they have that history, maybe they're promoting Nike to those specific customers and stuff.
Just want to add to Fani said, I've seen something similar, especially in the B2B space. So in every B2B space, as you guys may know, there are primarily 3 to 4 customer types. One is like a large or enterprise, and the second one is small, medium business, and third one like is like probably micro. So you definitely need a different marketing strategy to reach out to these different customer segments. I mean, for probably micro and small, I mean, they are in a different channels, maybe on LinkedIn. Again, I'm just making it up. Versus enterprise companies who may not be looking actively at LinkedIn. Obviously, they have their company pages, but I'm not sure if they will actively look at social media. For them, you need a different marketing strategy. So yeah, just want to add what Funny said.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And also I think it's basically, right, a product manager or a product person has a vision for that product, but a marketing manager basically is communicating the vision in a way that adds value to that targeted persona, right? So I think there's this famous example, right, where Steve Jobs picks up the iPod saying 1,000 songs in a box, right? So that actually is a marketing message which is communicating his vision of what value it's adding to the customer. So would anybody buy saying that, man, this is like a sleek thing where you can actually listen to the music and all of that? That's not like the right messaging to the target audience. When you say there are 1,000 songs in the small box where people had to exchange cassettes for 5 or 6 songs, that's a convenience for people, and that people would come in and buy, get sold for that pitch.
Awesome.
Okay, so I think we dig deep into all of these questions and try to figure out like each of these functions do, right? So what's your verdict? Like, I'd say, what do you feel is right? Do you think having all of them together makes sense, or having them divided makes sense, or at least you could give positives or negatives of both of them?
Yeah,
I think
go ahead.
the the tweet just confused people, and made them think that either people are converging these roles or they're eliminating some of the roles. I don't think that's the case at all. The product management and product marketing management professions are completely different, and depending on the product and depending on where the company is at, the need for that role changes. I think it is just a confusion that was caused by that tweet, but none of the professions are going away. Both the professions would continue to stay, but depending on the product, the need for the person varies, and that specific person would come into picture to even build, deliver, and market the product to the customer.
The way which I would feel is, right, like whoever is doing that role would have more responsibility and more control over providing value to the customer. So it's a closed loop rather than two different people doing segmented pieces of work. So I feel that if it could be done, this is the best way to do it, right, where you actually have a single person responsible for the whole thing. But based on the scale and also the size of the organization, this might not be possible. But in that ways, it's more like more collaborative it is, the better the outcome is from the space where we are at.
Yeah,
You,
I
Srinath?
also have a very similar view of what both of you said. I mean, I think there's no right or wrong here, and it all depends on the organization needs, and also depending on that product, maybe specific team, what they're working on. So, yeah, I think I don't want to repeat what you both said, so that's my take.
Okay, yeah. That's the pod today.